What up, baby boys and girls? Welcome back to Punch Drunk Nerd. Let me slap you with some nerd knowledge, because this week we're talking about Antman and the Wasp Quantumania. But before that, we're going to talk about the news. And then after all of that, we're going to do what we're into. Did you get it? A lot of time jumps. I'm Luis Gonzalez, and with me is...
Miguel Sanchez.
And Ed.
And yes, we're here. Punch Drunk Nerd. Welcome. We're going to do some news real quick, and then we're going to do Antman the Wasp Quantumania with a special guest. And that will be spoilers. Heavily spoilers. It will be spoiled. But we're going into the news. I was a lazy boy and didn't do a lot of news stuff, so I'm going to pass it to my two compadres, Miguel and Ed, to throw me some news. What's been happening?
What's up, you guys? How's it going?
What's up?
Not much, just drinking a beer.
I do not have my notes open. I forgot that we were doing this now.
Okay. Okay.
Nope, I'm ready. Ready.
You forgot that we were doing a podcast right now?
Yeah, I know we just logged on.
Yeah.
Already 2 beers deep. All right, let's go. So yeah, Luis normally is our news boy. I guess it was me and Ed this week, though. All right.
Yeah.
Wait, stop.
Carry
Hold
my
on.
cross, Miguel.
We just. Woo! All right. I like this. I like this momentum. I'm feeling good. Ed, before we do anything, what's on your face?
Oh, well, I got in a fight. And I've taken to putting on war paint for my daily routine.
I like it.
I want to tackle every day like a warrior.
What was your inspiration?
I saw this little indie movie last night called Antman Quantamania.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's
Mañana.
It's a Polish movie.
Quantumania.
You guys keep doing those accents.
I don't know a lot of Polish people, but I do know a lot of Mexicans, okay?
Quantumania. Antman and Quantumania.
It's beautiful. I love it. I love that. It's for you. Got to go to youtube.com/@punchdrunknerd. Look at Ed's face. Look, it's beautiful. Or guess what? On Spotify,
that's right.
We're also on video, baby. Can you believe it? Spotify gives you video podcasts. Apple
Also, tell you what,
do not.
That's what I'm going to do to bump up our YouTube numbers. Every week, I'm going to have a new face paint.
Hell yeah!
So if you want to see what I'm putting on my face, you got to tune in.
Plug the site, Ed. Plug the site for us. YouTube.com.
YouTube.com. YouTube.com @punchdrunknerd.
That's right.
It's not really
almost.
Right,
that was almost it. Yeah, yeah.
That, but yeah. Yeah. So there you go.
Go to bed.
It's just being festive.
Sorry, my kid. I think I woke him up.
Okay. Yeah, @punchdrunknerd. This episode's brought to you by @punchdrunknerd. Leave us some comments, guys. I'm sorry. Before we go into the news, we gained a freaking subscriber follower on YouTube.
Shout him out.
I am going to shout him out. It was a while ago. I'm so sorry. I think it was episode 43. Let me look for your comment.
Is it that Targaryen
Tanner
fella?
Roberts.
Got him.
Tanner Roberts, I see you. I see you. Hopefully you've stayed on and continued to listen to us, because you got a shout out. We're doing pretty good.
Can we put his profile pic in the thumbnail so he'll see it on YouTube and be like, "Hey,
that's me." He doesn't have I don't think he has a profile pic.
Just put that YouTube blank YouTube icon.
I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he doesn't have a profile pic. At least sometimes it just have like a default person.
Shout out Tanner.
Roberts. All right, let's get in the news. We've been daddling too much.
All right. Yes, sir. So Ed, I'll take it away first.
Yeah, please.
So, in gaming news, you guys, if you play on the PlayStation and you have a PlayStation Plus subscription and you pay for all those tiers and you get all the game catalog stuff, I've got some games that they just released this last week. I don't know about you, but when I play games, I have no time to play games, number one. Okay. Yeah. And when I do, it's very rare that I'm playing a game like as it released. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like God of War, yes. Last of Us, yes. But like a lot of games in between, I usually wait for. And I've gotten to a point now where I'm like, I don't really want to spend X amount of dollars to play this game. I would love to play it for free if I can.
Yeah.
So I love when PlayStation announces that new games are added to their Game Pass. And I want to tell you about them right now. These are all games that you have heard about, you have probably played. If you haven't and you're looking for the chance to, now you can. A big one. First one is Horizon Forbidden West. You guys, I talked about this game.
You loved this
last
game.
year.
You loved this game.
This was another game. I did play this one when it came out because I was such a fan of the first one, and I thought it was like one of the first. I think that was the first PlayStation 5 game I bought. It's super fun if you were like a little iffy if you wanted to play it and you just maybe didn't want to pay for it. This is the time. It just got released. It's probably going to be on here for a year plus.
Wow, really?
Jump on. You know what I mean? That's speculation. I don't really know how long we keep games on the pass. They obviously can come and go, but usually big games like this will stick around for quite some time. So Horizon Forbidden West. A new game that came out last year, or maybe not last year. I think it was for the PS4, so maybe all these games might be 2 to 3 years old. Sorry. This game is called The Quarry.
I think that came out last year.
Last year? Okay, that's what I was thinking too.
I heard people talking about it, and I wanted to play it.
All I remembered from this game was that it was kind of a horror, like slasher film style game, and that the redhead kid, Ed from The Righteous Gemstones, you know, the son with the freckles.
Yes.
I can't remember his name, but he's blowing up. He's in a lot of things, and he's I don't know if I assume he's the lead of this game. I haven't played it yet, but he is on the poster. But it's actually like a big cast of like I want to say Gen Zers or whatever, like pretty popular young actors of today.
Skylar Gisondo.
No way, that's his name.
Yeah, Skylar Gisondo. Unless I'm Gisondo. I don't think he's Italian. Let's see.
It is Skylar Gisondo. I'm looking at
Gisondo. Okay.
Skylar Gisondo.
It's a game where you're basically making choices. You know, it's not like an action game like God of War or whatever. You're like deciding.
His middle name is Augustus. Skylar Augustus Gisondo. He sounds like a Roman emperor. Sorry.
Ed likey.
I really wanted to play that game.
I did too. This was definitely one of those games that it really fits. This is why it's on my list of a game that piques my interest, but I don't particularly want to pay. Like I don't know if I'm gonna like it, so I don't want to pay money for it.
Yeah.
You know? So I mean, as soon as I saw it, I immediately downloaded it to my console. I haven't played it yet, but that's going to be probably my next game in the next couple of weeks. You guys hear me mention, okay?
Perfect.
The other game. This is a game that I'm not particularly. I don't really play this franchise whatsoever, but it is very popular, and they are making a movie. I believe coming out this year. You guys?
No.
Borderlands 3 is also added to the Game Pass for PlayStation.
I forgot they were making a movie about that one.
They are.
That's why Jamie Lee Curtis, right?
She can do anything now.
Oh yes, Kate Blanchett, Kevin Hart, Jack Black. No way, is this real?
Louise? Yeah. Which blew my mind because I have never really like been drawn to this franchise. I guess we call it IPs when it's a game,
right?
But I mean, hey, that was a big cast for this movie, so I mean, they're putting a lot of money into it, hoping it's going to be good. I don't really know what the vibe is at all, but I threw it on here because hey, now's my chance to play it if I feel like it. They did add a ton more games onto the Game Pass. If you guys want to go check that out, you can go to the internet and Google it. There you go.
This is interesting. I didn't know they were going to Borderlands movie. Yeah, Eli Roth. It's got what a cast, huh? But they already did test screenings of it too. So it really is the whole thing.
I mean, the cast was probably announced in like 21, and then they filmed over 22.
Okay,
you know, so
the guy who did Deadpool did 2 weeks of reshoot.
Oh,
because Eli Roth couldn't do it for some reason.
Is he the one that Eli Roth directed?
Okay, you don't want Eli Roth directing a fucking adaptation.
Well, he's directing the whole thing. It's directed by him. He just did.
So he stuck around.
Yeah. This is 2 weeks of reshoots. This other guy did it.
Then I have no faith in this film. Oh my God. Sorry.
Wow, what a time.
Ed, let me ask you this: if I came to you and I was like, Ed, I've got an all-expense paid trip to Los Angeles. You can go and you can take a class with a famous world-class movie director, and you can learn all this valuable information. And when you get there, it's Eli Roth.
Then I would sue for lying. World class.
Can I bring something up real quick? Can I bring something up?
Yeah.
Guess who is writing? Who's credited as screenplay?
Tony
Tarantino?
Huh? Not
said it.
Tony.
Okay.
What did you say, Miguel?
I said Tarantino. It's not Tarantino.
No, it's not Tarantino.
Okay.
It's two people. Number one, the director Eli Roth. Number two, you ready to hear? You ready for this?
No.
No.
His name, Craig Mazin, the writer and lead of The Last of Us on HBO.
Oh my god.
Yeah, who did Chernobyl?
So, Ed, now we're rethinking it.
But he's sharing the writing duties with Eli Roth.
Maybe he came in to clean it up a bit, you know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Because I bet it is a little messy, isn't it? I guess we'll just see, won't we? Let's wait for that first trailer.
Okay. Perfect.
To wrap up my little bit of the news here, if you are a PlayStation Plus subscriber, there are monthly games that come out. They'll give you free games every month that are only there for a limited time. For February, you can get Mafia, the Definitive Edition, which is a remastered version of the original game Mafia. A game that feels kind of in between The Quarry and the like Friday the 13th style like horror games. Evil Dead, the game. You have looks like an indie Ollie world, and then the add-on to Destiny 2 Beyond Light are the free games for the month of February. You guys, this has been I don't have a name for this segment. Miguel's News Hour.
Yay, Miguel's News Hour, where we learn all about games.
And good God, did it take an hour?
You know what? Go fuck yourself, because when we talk about here we go, Ed's on a rant.
Yeah, I know.
Speaking of rants, Ed, hit us up with this next rant.
Jesus Christ, it's a novel.
Well, I guess first question, as always, did you guys watch this trailer?
You know what? I've been really lazy. I've been bad, obviously. I did not even see this trailer. I did not see the doc. Boston Strangler.
Boston Strangler.
Here, I'll watch it as you explain it.
Before you explain it, Ed, I just want you to know I jumped on YouTube tonight and was just like Boston Strangler so I could watch the trailer. And the first thing that came up was Boston Strangler on Disney Plus UK. And I went, and it took me a second to be like, what? You know what I mean? Why is this on Disney Plus? That sounds graphic. You know what I mean? For the kids channel. And then I realized, that's probably like Disney's like Hulu in the UK.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Suggested for you, Bluey, Boston Strangler.
Yeah. I was like, what? Because my son was in the room with us when I turned it on, and my wife was like, I don't think this sounds good. I was like, well, I don't know. It says Disney Plus right here.
Keira Knightley, she's a Disney princess.
She princess, right? Come on. Sorry, go ahead. Boston Strangler.
So yes, it will be on Hulu in the United States. Outside of the United States, where Disney has what is it? Disney Stars for the
Hotstar.
For the adult content.
Yeah,
that's where you can find it. Anyway, so yes, Boston Strangler follows Loretta McLaughlin, a reporter for the Record American newspaper who becomes the first journalist to connect the Boston Strangler murders. As the mysterious killer claims more and more victims, Loretta attempts to continue her investigation alongside colleague and confidant Gene Cole, yet the duo find themselves stymied by the rampant sexism of the era. Nevertheless, McLaughlin and Cole bravely pursue the story at great personal risk, putting their own lives on the line in their quest to uncover the truth.
Did you write that, Ed?
Yeah.
Really?
No.
Oh, okay. It looks like a movie that David Fincher could have done, doesn't it?
Totally. Oh, sad.
Sad. Well, that's why. One of the reasons I shared this was I've been curious to see it, and who doesn't like a good murder? So I know my Sarah has been listening to the podcast about the Boston, or I say a podcast about the Boston. Good? She says she's really enjoying it. It's
Tell her, send me the deets. Send me the
obviously deets. A fucked up story, but yeah. So but yes, Miguel was talking about how David Fincher had yet again reassured us that we will not be getting a season 3 of Mindhunter. Alas. Even though we will be getting a serial killer movie from him later this year called The Killer, starring Michael Fassbender. Cannot wait for that. But anyway, in the meantime, we have The Boston Strangler coming to Hulu. You don't even have to go to the theater, and it's coming to Hulu on March 17th. So check out the trailer. Don't check out the trailer if you already know your Boston Strangler history, or check out the podcast. Apparently it's good. Couldn't even tell you who does that one. But,
don't plug other people's podcasts on our podcast. We are not big enough.
I couldn't even name it. It. There is a podcast somewhere about this guy.
In the world.
Right. So that's that. The other bit of news is really just kind of like an announcement. Steven Spielberg confirmed or just announced that he is working with HBO on a big production miniseries of Napoleon. That the long delayed, avoided by studios project that Stanley Kubrick started back in the 70s. This was like a passion project for Kubrick for decades, and he couldn't get a studio to rally behind him to build it because it was so epic and considered a financial risk. And this was during the 70s, where incidentally another movie came out about Waterloo, and that movie was a considerable flop financially. So after that, there was no way the studios were going to get behind this one. I think he ended up doing Barry Lyndon kind of like as a vice. And anyway, all that to say, the script that Kubrick wrote has been tossed around between a couple of directors over the years. A lot has been pointed towards television. And I think a couple of years ago, Cary Fukunaga, the director of No Time to Die and Beast of No Nation, I think he was originally attached to it, or he was.
Detective too, right?
True Detective season 1. We're not going to.
Yeah,
okay.
Me and Miguel were both on the same page. We're like,
sorry.
You and me were both nodding yes.
I almost said True Detective first, but
you didn't say it at all.
We were waiting for it. Miguel freaked out. We were like, wait, what?
I'm glad you were on the same page over there, because I thought I was alone looking like a dumbass. I was like, hang on.
And of course, True Detective season 1.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys, everybody, and Carrie. But anyway, he at some point he was attached to take it on. I don't know where he fell off, but Steven Spielberg on board can't be a bad thing. So they've announced that. I think it has to be like early stages of production. Obviously, we haven't heard anything about casting or when it's even supposed to be released. We do know it's supposed to be a 7-parter. And yeah, I'm dead excited. We've got a movie coming out later this year that we've mentioned, starring Joaquin Phoenix as Napoleon. Joaquin. And that's a Ridley Scott directed film. But yes, I mean, a 7-part series is exactly what the Doctor ordered for a character such as Napoleon Bonaparte, if I may be a little pretentious there. But yeah, no, I'm just excited about this one, and that's it. That's all there is to it. That's the news.
You mentioning Steven Spielberg reminded me of something we were kind of chatting about just like personally in text. Was Ed, we were talking, what was it? Not the BAFTAs. It was something right before the BAFTAs where Spielberg and Tom Cruise were having like a little powwow at some like awards event thing.
Yeah.
And how Steven Spielberg was like to Tom Cruise, like, you saved cinema. You brought everyone back. You single-handedly did that. And Luis, I thought you had a really good comment on that. So it's like, this is like when you're drunk and you're telling your friend you love them.
They were so close to each other, just like in their ear,
kind of red in the face too. You're get some water, man.
He's like a little, you could tell he's like a little watery-eyed.
Yes, I was gonna say starry-eyed, like yeah. And it's like, you're Steven Spielberg, dude. Like, you know.
Tommy.
Tommy.
He's like, no one saw The Fabelmans. Okay, everyone saw.
Like 7 million domestic.
That's pretty cool. Two Oscar-nominated film directors.
That's right.
Wait, did he direct? No, he didn't direct it. But you know what I mean. He produced it. Two
and
Oscar producers.
And then on the other hand, you have James Cameron,
producers.
who's being like, I could kind of agree with Thanos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, say this?
That's right. I did hear that. That was crazy.
What is he talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think he's just saying that there are a lot of shitty people out there.
people need to die, Ed.
Well, he is definitely like an environmentalist, and people are the cause of climate change.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw Avatar 2.
What?
But it draws a lot of parallels from real life.
I'm kind of now you got me like spiraling on tangents. But I went to the movie theaters twice this last weekend, which is like
cheeky
whoa.
fucker. That's Ed level.
Not quite. But I went and saw Antman, and then later on Monday we were off, so I took my boy to go see Puss in Boots again. And both times when we were leaving the theater, Avatar 2 was still playing in the theater. Like, it was like the third act of the movie was still going on. And I wanted to so bad just to like bring the boy, but I was like, I guess it's going to be kind of like violent.
Intense.
My wife wouldn't like that.
Could I tell you, to go on another tangent, I showed, so every now and again, I'll let Lily like just watch cute videos on my phone when we're saying goodnight. And she spotted the thumb pic of Avatar of the trailer. She's like, "What's that? Why are they blue?"
Yeah,
I was like, "They blue? Let me take you to Pandora." So I pulled up the trailer and we watched it together. And obviously, the trailer there's like some like action moments, but it's not too heavy. It's all more scenery.
A lot of that whale.
At the end of it, Payakan. At the end of it, she was like, "I love it." And I was just like, "Oh, when it comes out, Lily, we're gonna watch an edited version of this movie."
No, just throw it. It's gonna come on Disney Plus. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not right away though, huh?
What do you mean?
I mean, I guess he's already made like billions of dollars on this movie. Like he could release it on Disney Plus, right?
Oh,
like
they would.
Version?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not an edited version, just in general. Like, how am I going to watch Avatar 2 when it's not in theaters anymore? You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I bet it will, but I bet the length of time will not be as quick as like Black Panther releasing at the end of October or beginning of November and then releasing at Christmas. I think we'll see it around summer.
I'll take that.
Lucas, will you take that?
I'll take that. I take that bet. Will you take that bet? I think, we might. It might be a world where someone could potentially make it kid friendly. I don't know how that could.
Well,
happen,
I'm not going to do it. Like, I'm not going to actually edit it.
Hope.
I'm just going to say close your eyes, or when she starts saying like it's squared.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I wanted to see the fucking whales, man. Anyway, but so Steven Spielberg is doing a Napoleon series on HBO.
Perfect. I can't wait to see it. James Cameron's psyched about Thanos, but let's get psyched about Kang, because we're going to roll right into our featured discussion of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. All right, we are back for the second part of this episode, where we're finally going to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. And with us is a guest, the one, the only, Francesca Rivera.
Woo! Hey guys, welcome to my
back,
show.
Oh, this is your show.
Welcome.
Okay.
That's right.
No, I misspoke already. So,
all right, let's
be
back
great.
to one. Let's start back to one. Hello, guys. Welcome back. No, Francesca's back. She was here for our Phase 4 review and ranking it, and now she's coming back for another Marvel review, specifically Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Guys, I don't know where to start on this conversation, to be frank, to be honest.
Where's the talking points? You guys have those, right?
I know we have talking points. We do. Okay.
Well, let's talk about what's the movie about.
Okay, Ed, why don't you do that for me? I love how you do it. You do it beautifully.
Okay. All right. Ant-Man and the Wasp, the third Quantumania, the third movie of the franchise. Ant-Man and the Wasp find themselves exploring the quantum realm, interacting with strange new creatures, and embarking on an adventure that pushes them beyond the limits of what they thought was possible. Yeah, it was the most fucking generic thing.
I think we just go around the room and say initial thoughts, right? Let's just do that.
Yeah.
Miguel.
Francesca, you're our guest. You go first.
Francesca, you're the guest.
I had so much fun I'm just sitting there and I'm laughing. I'm just taking in all the jokes. I'm like, I don't have any expectations for it because we're just like spending a whole movie in just a whole new world we've never been in, and we're just not stuck, but like we're with the Ant family. We got Hank Pym, we got Janet, we got Scott, we got Hope, we got Cassie, and yeah, we're just a family movie. So I was just like, I'm here for the ride. I really enjoyed it. I know a lot of getting ahead of ourselves, I guess. My peers did not like it as much. I did.
Ooh.
Yeah, I remember in the movie when what's it called? Cassie called Hank Grandpa.
I know.
And I was like, oh, that's a sweet, tender moment. I didn't know we were calling each other like we're that integrated into the family now. Calling him Grandpa, that was sweet.
I did have to pause in that moment and be like, nah, hang on a second. Whose family again?
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, I'm not wrong, right? Like that's definitely they're not
family.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I was thinking, like, wait, is he married to Hope yet? And so that kind of and anyway, it got complicated. Miguel, what did you think about Ant-Man and the Wasp? Quantumania.
I think I liked it. It gets fuzzy around the third act. I'm just like, what happened there again? I was trying to think back on it this morning, and I was like, I really can't remember any standout moments for me. It started off, I didn't like it. I'll say that. I was like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ed, what did you think?
Well, clearly I loved it with my face paint. No, I am kind of on the same page as Miguel.
Yes.
I thought the first half of this movie was not very good. And then, it kind of picked up a little bit as the action kind of kicked up a little bit. And really when Kang was on screen, that was the most interesting bit. But even then, I still had some issues with it. And overall, I felt like the trailer felt like it had higher stakes than the actual movie.
Yes.
Let's get into that.
Okay.
Because I think that's exactly my opinion and vibe on it. I mean, today when I was driving back from work, I re-listened, because obviously I can't watch, re-listening those trailers, and I was like, God damn, I had goosebumps again.
Yeah.
Thinking about like what it teased me and what it brought me, and this whole question of like, Scott, you have to choose. It's like a temptation movie, choosing between good and evil. I'm giving you a choice to go back and be with Cassie. I wanted to see Cassie in a worse place, and maybe he wanted to go back in time to fix those mistakes. And you have this opportunity to have Janet and Scott really go head to head on the whole idea of like, Scott, you can't do this, and Scott's like, I gotta do it for Cassie, and I felt, like I said, goosebumps, bone chilling. Kang comes out, offers this thing. I was like, wow, this is gonna be awesome and fun. And then I watched the movie, and it gets going right away. Like, this feels like we're going right into Quantumverse, and I was kind of taken aback a little bit. I was like, oh wow, we're going in there. And then it goes, it moves and moves and moves. And as I was watching it, I just had this face a little bit sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love that we have Francesca here, because now we have to balance out this discussion, because surprisingly, I also like, after the end of it just came out, the trailer put me in a place where I wanted to be. It didn't hit me there. Maybe that's what it was, the expectations, but it really sold me a great story. And when it came out of it, it didn't feel like there was much character interact, like, I don't know, drama. It was all very plot heavy.
Yeah.
Love seeing Kang, love seeing Jonathon Majors doing his thing. But yeah.
I was thinking today, a while back, the director Peyton Reed had said, like, he went into this movie and he, like, his, I guess, pitch or whatever to Marvel was that he just didn't want to do another filler film, which is fair. And yet, most of this film felt like filler. Kind of just like an extended, it kind of had the same kind of pacing as Loki, which is a show I did not like. With just like, all of a sudden it'll slow down, but it won't really, it doesn't really go anywhere. You know, it's just like talking. The exposition in the first half of the movie was terrible, as well as the cutting. It was like the editing was so choppy. It went back and forth between because By the way, spoilers, everybody. But there's like a lot of back and forth between the two parties of who is it, Hope, and her mummy and daddy, because I'm blanking on their names, and then Scott and Cassie. And there was just like a lot of back and forth. So it was almost like reaction clips each time we went back to them. It's like, and also just getting a little bit more inkling, or just another fucking repetitious line of, "Oh, he's coming," or you left us with him," and just like this, just say his fucking name. Because this isn't.
I was waiting. I was like, "Who's going to say the first words?"
I know.
And then I saw Michelle Pfeiffer. Like, oh, she didn't say it. There was a lot of just them asking her, "What's going on?" She's like, "You're going to have to
Why'd
wait
you
and
leave
find
us?
out." 30 minutes later, you got to wait and find out. And it's like you're just
until we're sitting in an alien spaceship with
like,
Michael Douglas in his hands and some alien shit for like 10 minutes.
It was so
that was
good.
Like that was the goats of this movie. Do you know what I mean?
That's giving. Yeah,
no, I'm joking. Francesca, talk about what else you loved about this movie.
Yeah, we want to argue.
Okay. All right.
What do you want to volley?
Whoa, guys! If we're gonna argue, I'm gonna leave. Actually, so let's keep it civil.
No.
I guess like I can't like I can, but I'm just so preoccupied with everyone's like expectations of like what I actually do like. I had never considered, what you were expecting plot wise.
Mm-hmm.
I just think everyone, it's just like, oh, it's filler, but like they're all too connected, or they're just, I don't know. I think maybe I'm just hearing both camps of like they're all too connected and they're not just like singular things. But then when it is a singular thing like this, and it does have like the big bad of this saga, it's confusing to me. Maybe I'm just like trying to understand both sides, and I'm like, no one's happy. No one's happy with like how
Bingo.
Marvel is right now. No one is happy. Okay, except for me.
That's good.
I just really liked seeing Michelle Pfeiffer. I think like now she's back, and the first two movies were really about her in a way. Like, Hope, a lot of like her trauma is just like she doesn't have her mom, and I can see how like Kang's offer in the trailers could sound like I'm gonna give you this chance to go back in time. Like if it was an actual time travel movie, of course that actually would have been really sick. But I think it was nice to see Michelle Pfeiffer in the MCU properly and kind of feel that weight of what she kind of went through a little bit, of course.
Yeah.
But I just really appreciated seeing like 3 generations of like superheroes in the MCU.
Yeah.
Finally just like spend time together. I actually walked out of that just really thinking about the family aspect of it, because we're waiting for Fantastic Four, but we have we have the MCU's first family here, and I can admit, of course, there's we didn't really get too much of Scott or Hope, and I'm sure it's just like external stuff because of Hope, but I just really appreciate the family aspect of it. I did really like seeing Cassie. Of course, I was a little like, wow, why did they recast the girl from Endgame? But I think she's a good balance of like Paul Rudd acting this words. I can't think of them, but yeah, I just think it was fun, and I thought it was a nice contained story. Like it felt like a comic book movie. I'm just like, I don't know what people want. This is a comic book movie. This is like, it starts off so fast, which I did appreciate. They're just like, whoa, we're
jumping right
in the quantum
in.
realm. And now it's like, how do we get out? But now there is like, but while we're here, we're coming across like we're in a new land, but we don't know what the threats are except for Janet. So
Janet,
just it just kind of like seeing like that entry point, I guess, was nice.
Yeah, they talk about like closing this as a trilogy, and I never even thought of Janet being this through line throughout the whole thing, because everyone is affected by Janet Hope's upbringing and Hank's own path because of Janet. And then in the second one, obviously they save her, but she's into everyone's lives, and it like pretty much starts the movie. And then the third one here, we finally get to see a conclusion about all that, and also rippling down to Cassie. I love the idea of these kind of 3-generational. This is like, it really did feel like family. You know what I mean? More than this is our Fast and Furious family, the Fantastic Four family that we always wanted, and that was nice. I wish movies are just people. I guess you can't really fit everybody into one room, but I hate it when they split like the big cast into 2 different groups.
Yeah.
Like they did that with Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I understand why you do it. You want to create an A story and a B story, and to give people their own personal time. Whether they did that or not is but I really hate that, because I just enjoy everyone and I want them to be together all the time. But I can see how that could be a difficult scripting wise to like keep everyone involved.
Like the breakfast scene at the very beginning, that was so nice. I was like, they're all together, they're just eating, and he's like, your grandparents are like slipping you money while I'm like out, that kind of attitude. You're like, oh, we're just letting her play with the toys. Yeah, and then they
Does anybody think that everybody was a real dick to Scott? Like at
that scene?
Yeah, I was just like, why are they? He did actually save the world or contributed to it,
right.
And then like Cassie is really dogging on him, and it's like, what have you done lately, Cassie? And then she later gives a monologue, and maybe that's her arc. At the end of the movie, she realizes she was being a dick, and so she thought she could lecture somebody else about not being a dick or choosing not to be a dick. But she really bothered me, I guess, throughout. Not to completely contradict you, but it was just that's how I felt the whole way. I did enjoy Michelle Pfeiffer. I kind of, I would love like a Michelle Pfeiffer resurgence in film in general. I think she's completely underrated lately. But yeah, man, Cassie really rubbed me the wrong fucking way. But that's just me. How did you guys feel about?
I want to talk, since you were talking about being a dick, let's talk about the MODOK character real quick. Let's just do it. Let's get it over with. Let's talk about Kang. Let's talk about MODOK.
His face is unfortunate.
Oh my god, it was so funny.
When he was revealed, I was like,
I could not look at it. The first,
I couldn't believe it.
But like, it actually evened out a little bit at the end. Like I just like Uncanny Valley very much at the very beginning, but then I was like, oh, I can see Corey Stoll now. I didn't at first, but now I could see it, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
As you warm up to all the visual effects. Yeah.
No. And but I wouldn't have expected him to have actually the funniest moments in the movie. Like, saying like, oh, thank God I die an Avenger. Cracked me up.
that one did make me laugh. Bro.
That was brilliant. Laugh. Everybody's just like, yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Let him believe it.
I want to see a poster of like the Avengers and then him in the corner. You know what I mean? Just with all his saws out. I was bummed that we hopefully we don't get rid of him. I mean, he's a ridiculous character, but I mean, his face, it just felt like I went into Photoshop and stretched a face and
that easily, right?
And then that was it, and it just felt really rough. I don't know. For me, it made me. They've done such, I don't know, cool designs in the past that when I see this, it really like my jaw dropped.
Yeah, I do feel like a lot of the shots of the
in a bad way. I was like, oh.
A lot of the shots of the actual quantum realm, like the background, look kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there are moments where the visual effects look very shoddy, and obviously some things came out today regarding that.
Which is that a lot of
chalking it up to human greed is basically what they said, right? Or something like that. But
they were pulling the VFX team to do Black Panther VFX. I think that was it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny because Cassie's whole thing, going back to Cassie, was like, it was like, yeah, it's like, yeah, you saved the world, but like she was sitting she was protesting, right? She was protesting. That's why she was
Right.
In jail. And I actually thought she did have some points, but it's like the Gen Z, they're so they're not in our faces, but they're just like remember there are other people, like they're just more socially conscious than I think we were growing up, which I do commend and I do admire. And it's just, I think that was, as bratty as she was as a teenager, I just think at least it's rooted in that and not just like, you left me for, well, I mean, she did also throw that into Scott's face, but, it's rooted in just like, hey, like, I'm trying to be a hero too. Like, you're my hero, of course, but, I'm trying to save the world my way. And that's why she wants to, like, get in the suit and everything. But then going back to the VFX thing, human greed, and, like, the whole socialism comment from Hank cracked me up.
I kind of like Michael Douglas in the MCU here. I like that he doesn't have much to do. You know what I mean? He gets to just be like this old man, come in. He's talking about ants the entire time. I was like, hell yeah, dog.
My ants. Get my ants.
I love ants. I'm glad someone in this movie is talking about ants. It did feel a little shoehorned that we got to get ants in this movie somehow. I'm like, in the quantum realm, we got to get ants.
Well, you saw them fly in.
Yeah, I got sucked in.
We're going to see them later.
Yeah.
Chekhov's gun, but for ants,
But ants.
Ants.
I love that when he walked into the scene and just all the ants, he's like, yep, here they are. And they just
sorry, I'm late.
The sped up motion of all the ants building their society. It's like, they've lived 100 years here. I was like, oh my god, this is incredible.
We also didn't talk about Bill Murray being in this movie for all of 5 minutes.
Right. Wow, I expected him not to. I expected him to be there a lot longer than 5.
I thought
I totally forgot
he definitely was gonna like have a scene. I think he was supposed to be in it a lot more, but was also cut out. But he definitely was set up to be like, what are ants? Will we ever see ants here? And then like when ants come, like he's just like, whoa, that's an ant. They're huge, and kind of like have like one little comment like that. But
yeah,
we didn't get that.
But he dies, right? Like that thing eats him or something. Is that what happens?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I think so. I was waiting for that moment. I didn't see it, but we'd have to assume that's what happened for justice, because he did it to his brother. The
monster thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The thing that they were drinking, Miguel.
Yeah. No, I knew that.
Yeah. The brother.
Oh, okay.
He drank the brother or ate the brother.
Yeah. I didn't realize they were siblings, the monsters.
In my story, they are. Yeah, I think I love the family thing. I just wish that we had more. I mean, I guess this is I don't know. I just wanted to see more of their relationship. I wanted to see a little bit of conflict, and I felt we were going from plot to plot to plot to plot, and in between we had bits in between those things. Yeah. And so I said in between 50 times. But yeah, I think I just wanted more moments with them, and I wanted to see more of an arc where we just kind of saw these people who, like, Cassie is great from the beginning, Cassie's great in the end, Paul's great in the beginning. I guess Paul then is better at the end. I don't know. But it just kind of, they got thrown in this river of just going from one thing to another to another to another when I wanted a little bit more of that character, experience.
I'm sorry, do you guys even remember Ant-Man 1 and 2? I was watching this movie. I think I maybe saw Ant-Man once and Ant-Man 2 twice. I just did not remember any of their storyline hardly at all. I barely remembered that Michelle Pfeiffer was, oh yeah, she got stuck down there and came back, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ant-Man 1 was like, Scott steals the suit, and then Hank is like, well, you're very crafty. I need you to, like, steal something from the company I used to have, because Corey Stoll wants my technology, and Hope is like a double agent.
Yeah. And
Corey Stoll is like still figuring out quantum science shit, and then it happens, and then they fight, and then he sends him to the quantum realm. And then the second one,
okay,
this is my version of the Luis recap. And then the second one, I only watched that once, but it was like Lawrence Fishburne is like a colleague of Hank's.
Oh my
that
God.
Was like, which he voices the Beyonder in the New Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur show. And I was like,
that's
oh
cool.
shit, we are getting Secret Wars. Anyway, but yeah, there's like Ghost because there was she was part of some experiment or she got caught up in it and then like she like was phasing and then they were like, okay, let's use that MacGuffin villain kind of thing to get Michelle Pfeiffer back because they're like building, and then Janet and then Paul Rudd acts like Michelle Pfeiffer for a little bit.
That's
She's
right.
like, I'm so proud of you, Hope. I'm so proud of you.
Paul Rudd acts like an antenna to her, and he can like link up. He has these dreams that connect back and just communicate through the quantum realm. And then he becomes a little kid. Remember, he becomes a little kid. He has that the bit throughout the movie is that the suit is dysfunctional, so he can never like go to the right size at the right moment. So that's why he's stuck as like a little kid size, and he's running in like a middle school, preschool with like oversized clothes.
Oh my gosh! And then the best scene was like when he gets big in the bay, and he's just like, oh, and then he's like,
and he's exhausted.
Oh yeah, because they're trying to steal the lab. I know. I remember this from every time I play Marvel Snap, and it's like you can't play cards here in turns 3, 4, and 5 because they shrink it down, and then they have that card chase with and he like brings up the thing with all the little Hot Wheels cars, and he's like, I want this one.
Yes, and Luis gets his own Hot Wheel car.
Yes,
and he wanted to get it. Yeah. No, yeah, Ant-Man 2. And then what else? That's where we get introduced to Jimmy Woo, right?
Yeah.
Oh, in the first one. No.
In the second one. He was there and he's on house arrest.
Yeah.
And he wanted to learn close-up magic from Scott, and then we see him do close-up magic in WandaVision, and then we just see him for a little bit in this one. But speaking of side characters, I mean, you were talking about Luis and the gang. I thought I was surprised. I didn't realize that they were not going to be in the movie. So as we got to the end, I was saddened by the fact that they couldn't be there.
The director today was talking about how, we just have so many characters and that in this movie, we just didn't have time to fit them in. And I was like, I don't know. I think we could have. I mean, we could have got just a little bit of Louis.
Yeah, and post-credit scene, man. It's like...
Yeah. Hey, we sat through those credits.
We did.
Maybe it would just be like Luis reading the credits to you. You know what I mean?
Whoa. Yeah. If this isn't a mid scene credit or an end scene credit, this is the credits.
The credits.
You have Luis reading it off. This is a scene on itself.
Dude, in my headcanon, that happened. Okay, that's what happened at the end of that movie.
I did get very excited at the end to see the season 2. I know it was like pretty much a trailer for it, but for the season 2 trailer for Loki, I think just looking at it was like we started Tom Hiddleston, right? What's his name? Yeah,
Tom Hiddleston,
a silhouette, and he's just I don't know. I just loved that whole thing. It felt so different too from what we saw in Ant-Man and Quantumania. It was almost like a palette cleanser when I saw that. Just the framing and the lighting and the color. It got me excited for Loki. Ed, I know you didn't like Loki, but it was a cool scene. It was a cool moment. I can't wait to. Yeah.
I will say that seeing that scene, I went back today and I rewatched the
entire season of Loki.
No, I watched the monologue at the end that the one who remains gives.
Yeah.
Kind of explaining his history and stuff, and they actually reference him, the guy that we see in the teaser at the end. Like, they reference him specifically. So, I think, like, the first time watching that, I definitely zoned out. So I needed to go back and refresh my memory of kind of, like, the whole point and purpose of Kang and his what's the word? Variants. So yeah, can we talk about Kang?
Yeah,
a little bit.
Let's do it.
Let's time.
What did we think of the new big bad? And I guess one of my questions is, can I say I think his outfit is fucking awesome.
It's pretty cool.
I would love that. It's so clean, but like kind of intimidating.
I wish the blue was a little bit. The blue shield,
the CG blue.
Yeah, the CG blue I didn't fly with. You know what I mean? We had such a good like looking Thanos. You could see his like little hairs. I want a shield that looks clean. But no, everything else looks really great. Do you know what I mean?
But talking about Thanos, think about the first time you see Thanos. You know what I mean? You're like, oof, that's not great.
Yeah,
that's not great CGI. Oh,
That's what he does, isn't it? In the end of Avengers.
Yeah,
Yes.
good
This is what
job.
he does. This is what he does. Hold on.
Yeah.
I thought at first you were
You're
turning around
taking
to
a
take a
pee.
pee. Dude, I was like,
Yeah, me
okay,
too.
man.
Oh, like the Calvin and Hobbes character.
Okay.
Okay,
But the
anyway.
CGI did not look great, and it's like, okay, Kang for the most part looks pretty cool. And if his face shield is the worst part, like we can fix that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that for Love and Thunder thing. I think they just added it in post, obviously, right? It's and
Yeah.
they
Oh,
never
man.
they never as long as they can, they'll keep those helmets off all the characters.
Yeah.
Once they did it one time, into the body,
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, we're gonna do this for everybody." You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
I did like
Sorry,
the. Yeah, go for it.
Just really quickly about the blue light shield thing. Like I thought, I don't know if I'm like misreading it, but it felt like I thought he needed that helmet just from like how sweaty he looked when he like took it off, and I thought like he needed it to. It was blue because it needed to like cool him. But like they're in the I don't know in the quantum realm. But I was like, he's like
Kind of like a Mr.
weird-
Freeze thing.
Yeah, I was like, he's like
Yes.
weirdly like you see beads of sweat on his face, and I'm like, oh, does he need this? Like maybe that's I don't know a way you can like stop him, but I
That's
guess not.
interesting.
I don't know what the purpose of it
They-
is then.
They never
Well,
mention that,
yeah.
do they?
Talk about mask theory. I mean, helmet theory. What was the purpose of a lot of the helmets here? You know, I thought it was to keep like them breathing when they miniaturize and do all these things, and then they go all the way to the quantum realm. And even Hank is like, "We should be dead," and they're just like, "Yeah, but we got to keep going here."
We gotta keep
and
going.
everyone's like putting their mask, and Scott's like,
Yeah,
flicking
what
his
is the
head to put his
atmosphere
mask on.
there?
The
Oh my
flick
God, yeah.
thing,
Everyone,
mean-
that was added in this movie, right? The flick thing where he's like,
Yeah.
too much, man, too much. After how many times, like how many different characters have we seen the helmet come on and off in all of these movies? Why all of a sudden are we doing this? Like
Scott's having
my
fun.
neck hurts doing that.
He just has fun doing it to like enable it. No, Kang. We went on tangent.
Yeah,
Kang.
yeah.
Yeah. Let's get back to Kang. I thought it was a great introduction when we saw him going through the spaceship, and he was, like you said, like looked like he was dying. Looks like he's having a lot of fun playing different characters. You know, all these different versions of Kang, and I like Jonathon Majors. I can't wait to get more of him. You know,
I'll say this: I liked him as the Conqueror, but
Yes.
when I watched that mid-credit scene, I was like, fuck."
And you're talking about for the Loki?
No, that was the end
like
one.
all of the
mid-credit
Kangs.
one.
the mid-credit scene.
all
Oh,
the Kangs.
all the Kangs.
I was just
Oh,
like,
yeah,
if Kang Dynasty is really just about to be Jonathon Majors like acting,
Man,
I'm
yes, dude. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
no, I'm not here for it.
I was
Yeah.
just about to say the same thing. Like, to me, I get that you got to do a different thing than Thanos, right? It's like a
Right.
different big bad guy, but there's kind of an expectation, right? Kang the Conqueror, like you want to see this. Like,
I want to see Kang the
okay,
Conqueror.
I want to
Yeah.
see someone that is going to be. He's talking about killing all these Avengers. Like, oh, okay, you must be like
Yeah.
big and bad. But then you're right. We're talking about variant all through Loki, and it's like I don't know why in my head I was like, okay, it's just going to be Kang 2 or Kang 3. You know what I mean? Just like different saves of the same Kang, basically. And it's like, oh man, we're really doing like a theater like dramatization of this character.
Yeah. Like here's the football hooligan Kang, and here's the one from Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
And you know, it's and I remembered that about Loki is like one of the things that really irked me was his kind of very theatrical performance in that when he finally
Yeah.
shows up. And then rewatching it today kind of reaffirmed those feelings because like he's just talking, but at one point he jumps on the table, and then he jumps back down. It's just, but if that's what this is about to be, I'm just like, oh, Jonathon, like, I don't know. Like, yes,
yeah.
I'm here for Kang the Conqueror. When that guy yells, "I am Kang" at those guys in the final fight, I believed it. I was just like, yeah, you are, baby. But that last scene, and maybe it was just kind of like hey, we're gonna put this in the mid credits. Just come up with some other variants that we're not even gonna follow or stick to. You know, But
Yeah.
I was really
I don't
hoping
know.
for a Baskin Robbins Kang, just because we saw the Baskin Robbins scar.
That would've been
That was so weird. I was like, what?
that would have
Oh
been
my
incredible. I would have been like, that's comedy
All
gold,
right, I'm
right?
back
That's
on board.
good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to Photoshop a version, Francesca, and we'll put it on
Thank you.
Instagram and we'll tag you. 'Cause
Thank
I
you.
have to see it now. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
That's incredible. Yeah, good call.
I also loved all of his mouth acting. Just like
Yeah.
he's just really like getting ready to deliver a line. Just being like,
Yeah. I never even thought about
you
that.
think
But totally.
you can defeat me? I don't know any of the lines, but he's just like really just winding it up,
No, I
winding it
remember him
up for
saying
a
that.
delivery.
Yeah.
So good.
No, I liked it. He was a very effective villain. Like, for the most part, he was kind of calm and collected, but still threatening. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how. I mean, that wouldn't be the end of the Conqueror, right? He just
I
got
don't
kind of
think
pushed
so.
back into the sub-quantum realm. Or I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know
kind
how
of what
it works.
happens.
Could you
to
imagine,
Yell-
Ed, if the one Kang you like, that was the last time? We're done.
No, they have to bring it back. They're doing exactly what they did to what's his name, Yellow Jacket, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
she's
shrunk
going
him
to come
down.
back as MODOK.
But he's no, he's a
Kang,
MODOK.
MODOK Kang, or Kang MODOK. Kang Dog.
Yeah, no, I can't. I mean, I know the other Kangs were like he's dead, but I don't think he's gone and dead. That Conqueror.
So
But he
is
was
too
like the
cool.
worst one, right? Because they exiled him. He is King the Conqueror.
Yeah,
But
that's
he
what I
also
was
had a
gonna
plan.
say.
He's like, I've been there at the end of what happens. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm supposed to go to the end and save it. So if that's the case, I mean, we have to see him at Secret Wars, at Kang Dynasty, and we even see that circle. I mean, it's the one true timeline that we kind of. It reminded me of Loki when they're talking about the timeline.
Right.
And so, is it this funny thing where the multiversal war is going to end when we right at the end of season 1 of Loki, when He Who Remains was just like, "I'll see you again." And so, does this Kang the Conqueror then become He Who Remains after
Yeah.
some
Oh.
time?
Oh.
You know, because he is the one who's supposed to save all the multiverses or whatever, and that's why he's also doing what He Who Remains does. He's chopping off these timelines.
Yeah.
And these other Kangs don't want that because maybe these Kangs want to conquer these specific multiverses.
Well, that
And
was
he's chopping them off.
that was one genuine question I had coming out of it. I was kind of wondering, like, is I guess Kang the Conqueror's ultimate goal is to conquer the other timelines or universes or whatever from the other Kang variants? Like he's out to destroy them, or is he just out to fuck shit up? Like every other villain.
So
I think the
my understanding,
former, right?
yeah,
Like, right, that's why they banished him, because he's destroying other variants of Kang in different timelines.
like we had a deal. We're all conquering our own spaces. Don't fuck this up for everybody. And he's kind of
He's going
Right.
out of his own space, and yeah, okay. Gotcha.
is my assumption. I actually never.
Yeah.
I haven't read into the whole like Council of Kangs situation and how one can be submissive to the other. It reminds me of like Rick and Morty,
Rick and
when a
Morty.
bunch of Ricks are just like like
The writer
The
was
Rick
a Rick and
Council?
Morty writer, right?
What's that? Was
I
it?
think Jeff Loveness is a Rick and
Oh.
Morty writer,
Oh,
which
interesting.
makes sense. But honestly, like Ed, you going back to rewatch like the explanation that He Who Remains gives, like when I had to rewatch that a bunch of times because it's like, yeah, like I met all my multiversal me's, but then it's like, oh shit, wait, I should actually get rid of them because now I still the multiverse is so confusing.
It is a little
So
confusing.
I'm just like I think I'm gonna actually go back and like rewatch it and just be like, all right, what is the point of
yeah.
this?
What's the end game, if you
Right.
will, of
I
like
do
all
wanna-
of this? Yeah, I know it was rough. I'm sorry, but yeah, it was just a little like, because this didn't end up being as like time fucky as the trailer would have you believe.
Yeah.
So that's why I was just like, okay, so it really is just like about Kang trying to break out of this thing But yeah, I got a little lost there.
I did. One of the things I liked about Kang was his way of, oh my god, why am I blanking on this word? Blah, 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 manipulating you into kind of doing what he wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's essentially just lying straight to their faces. Michelle Pfeiffer, I'm going to get you home. And not quite lying. Like, I think he would have taken her home. You know what I mean?
I think so too.
But he would have then done his own thing. You were just like the vehicle to get me there. And same with like Scott Lang. He approaches him kind of, not humbly, but just like somewhat honestly, like, hey, this is
very
what I
honest
need,
person.
and you're gonna do it for me, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's just get this done. I can give you everything you want. And then you see that little bit of like, hey, that Darth Vader chokehold. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, don't fuck around. You do what I tell you to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It's like I wish Scott was able to be willing to make that decision without Kang forcing him.
Yeah.
I know I'm adding myself to the story, but just to have a little bit of, I don't know, and just to arc or change, or to see him go through something like, of course, all of us want to fix our mistakes. Of course, all of us wants to stop bad things from happening, especially if it's like your daughter, if something bad's happening there, or your family. And so, but yeah, no, Kang totally like forced him into the situation. He was like, I'm going to kill your daughter. You better do it. Do it. I wanted to ask you guys about the heist, or the you need to get something from me and I'll give you, Cassie back. What was your expectation of it when Kang said, I need you to get something from me? Because for me, it was, I expected there to be a heist of some kind.
Yeah.
Or like
same.
in the quantum realm. And then he just dove in and it was like, he's just literally grabbing it.
Yeah.
Although I did like the probability scene where all of that was like, like becoming something else. That felt very comic booky. That felt very like, taking concepts and really running with them in this weird, wacky, fun way. But the heist wasn't really like the heist that I felt when people told me Scott had to steal something.
Oh my gosh.
Steal. He wasn't stealing
Yes.
anything. He was just grabbing it. I thought he was going to infiltrate a system or people. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
That's definitely where the movie gets fuzzy for me. I was a few beers deep at this point because I was like, fuck it. And I was just kind of like going along on the visuals. I was like, what are we really doing here? Let's just get to Kang destroying things. I did like the moment of them like all lifting him up. That was the thing I was kind of looking forward to in the trailer, paired with the idea that he missed all this time with his daughter. And that to me felt like, that's his goal. I want to get more time with her. I want to kind of relive those moments and get that back. And he even has a great line in the trailer where it's like a voiceover, I think, where he's falling back down into them and he's like, I'm sorry, Cassie.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
I was waiting for that line.
I was waiting for that line. Like, in the trailer, it packs such a punch. And in the movie, it was just kind of like, oh, we're being silly again. And it's going to be
those are the real feelings and emotions that I want to relate to as well. Because like I have those feelings where I really failed somebody. Like, I'm so sorry that I fucked up, even though I really didn't want to. So you can grieve with the characters. And I felt like there was a lot of moments of me grieving, or a lot of moments where I get to like connect. And what else what did you guys think about the probability scene? Ed, Francesca?
I just didn't really have strong thoughts about it either way. I thought like it only goes to show how thinly layered Hope is, that she should have like zero problems getting to in and saving Scott or helping Scott out. You know what I mean? Because I just feel like she's kind of been in the same place throughout all of these movies as a character. I mean, so there just wasn't much, like Miguel said, there just wasn't a lot of stakes involved. I did think that like the scene of like everybody pushing him up to get it, like ants, that was great. Good nod to ants. I was just kind of wanting to get on with it. Really, I mean, it was just kind of like a detour, if you will. I don't know.
Detour is a great word. I feel like a lot of this was, for me, I felt like it was a bit of a detour.
We're just going to take a detour to the quantum realm.
Yeah, why not?
Quantumania. But,
I
yeah.
thought the visuals every time they were like breaking through, just in general throughout the movie, every time they
Yeah.
were like going through the levels, I thought that looked really good. So I
Yeah.
liked seeing them both go into like the core and stuff. Yeah, the probability scene. I think though I was really distracted thinking about a meme I wanted to make of just like when he's like getting swallowed up and he's just like, this is ego death, you know? You're just like ego death of like you're self-consuming. I don't actually really know what that phrase means, but I just think that that'd be like a good sad hot girl meme, you know? Those like depressed art memes on like Instagram and stuff, just like yeah, man, just really, really specific insights into like your human psyche. No, but I thought it was the most like visually interesting thing when like Hope comes down and there's like a million of her and she's like bringing him up but yeah, it was just like it was too easy. Like when Kang opens up the portal, he's like, "You're gonna go get this." I was like, "Oh, okay, that was okay."
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great word too. Things are a little bit too easy. Like we got to each point on and on. I don't know if you guys.
What are his powers? Just he has like all the powers. He has the force. He just like he can open portals. Yeah, I don't know.
Right, the portals one tripped me up. I guess the force I could see because he has these like little shackles that just can like pull people. But the going into different like portals, that one tripped me up a little bit because.
Those, I was wondering at one point, but then they just never explained it, so I didn't really care. But all of his men, like his troops, all of these faceless guys, I kind of was wondering, like, are they kind of like, are they variants of him in a way? Like, are they like, and like, I felt like, oh, maybe they're gonna like crack one of the windshields and. Or not windshields, you know what I mean, face mask, and it's going to be like Jonathon Majors droid or something, you know what I mean? But obviously that went down the toilet. I don't know.
You know what's funny, Ed, is that's what happens with Doctor Doom. Is Doctor Doom has these Doom bots that look just like him, but they're just like
Fantastic Four fame. Okay. All right.
So that's interesting. Yeah. So you're onto something.
Maybe
it's another villain, but not Kang.
Right.
Yeah. Speaking about his powers, there's one moment when he comes. He's like he's done with everything. He's sick of everybody's shit. He's floating down on his disc, and he's just like blah, and he's just wiping everybody out with these like Iron Man lasers that just annihilate things. When I saw that, I was like, oh fuck, we are all in trouble. And then Ant-Man comes up and they start fighting and getting blasted. I'm like, wait, how are you withstanding these incredible
God,
death-defying blast? They incinerated everybody. When I saw that, I was like, okay, this guy, he can incinerate all these ants. Brum, 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 but talk about power questions.
Did you feel it was odd that they went like hand to hand? At the end? Like,
yeah,
they did.
But because again, that's what leaves you thinking. Like, well, what threat are you? Are you just immortal?
Yes, that also tied in with kind of another thought I had about just in general in the quantum world is that like they're all basically humans or whatever,
Yeah,
that was weird when they were just like, "What are you, a human?" I was like, "Bitch, you're a human too.
You look like me. Like your face lights up a little bit. We have a nose. You know what I mean? Like what?" I don't know. Yeah. Sorry, Ed, not to rant on.
No, I mean,
what you were saying, but
I again, something that felt much more dramatic in the trailer, where you thought like, oh shit, is Paul Rudd gonna die? No, you never really feel that. He just gets knocked around a little bit, but he also knocks him around a little bit. So it's just like
right.
He really did. When he was like,
I can only believe so much.
So much. Dude, even Paul Rudd, I bet he was just like,
nah.
I'm gonna fight Jonathon Majors.
We've all seen that Creed 3 trailer.
Oh, dude. I like could not I was just thinking about like, wow, I feel like I'm watching Creed 3. He's beating the shit out of Scott right now. And I actually was like, that was like the most violence I feel like I've actually felt watching a Marvel movie. I was like, oh my God, he's like kicking the shit, like,
that's kind of true.
Like wailing on him. And I was like, oh God, I can't actually watch this. I'm like, ooh. So
Yeah, no.
now I'm excited for Creed 3.
It was a good promo right in the middle of the movie for you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, Ant-Man.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
One point I do want to bring up we did not touch on.
Okay.
Janet and Kang definitely fucked, right?
And Bill Murray, apparently. So
yeah.
Yeah, but that was just something on the side.
Yeah, no, I definitely got those vibes. And I mean,
Francesca, you're
it's
so
Michelle
right.
Pfeiffer. Yeah.
I turned to Jeffrey.
How many years
I was like,
working together?
30. She was down there for 30 years.
At least once. Like, you're telling me not one time
Not
after
once,
they finished
30
work,
years.
right? They're wiping the sweat off their brow.
He's got
Working on that ship.
They exchange a look, you know, and then it's just done.
They're just like
you've seen the way that he sits in a chair. Do you know what I mean?
Oh man,
he sits on a chair really well.
Oh man.
Okay buddy.
There was Ant-Man and the Wasp, beginning of Phase 5. My goodness, I don't know what to expect.
We gotta have Francesca on more to ask the important questions.
The real questions. Another real question. I didn't notice that Ant-Man was in Quantumania, like when the title cards came up and it was like Ant-Man, really? and it was like Quantumania. I was like, oh my god, that's incredible. That was good.
I thought the same thing too.
I love when that. I love that.
Well, hey, so the movie still had some surprises for you at the end.
Exactly.
So, did you hear somebody made the comparison? Is Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, MOM, Mom, and they were like, "Oh my God, look, Mom, like the Scarlet Witch is a mom." And the whole thing is about moms.
I like that all these titles are like weird now. They're like actually like
I love these
these
are
things.
These
like Love and Thunder, Multiverse of Madness, Quantumania. I'm for it. So, and I think people should probably like, latch onto that and just be like, okay, this is what they're trying to do now, kind of. I don't know.
Totally. That's a fair.
That sets the tone for
title
me.
game. No, the title game.
Does the movie
really
have
awesome.
to be great? I don't know. We'll see, but it's gotta have a good title.
Fun.
Yeah.
Oh, Quantumania is gonna be weird as shit. I don't know. Let's go.
I think it's so. We're also entering a phase now where the Marvels are getting pushed to end of the year. We're also only slated, or they're only promoting right now 2 TV shows: Secret Invasion and Loki season 2. Whereas last year we were kind of bombarded with a lot of movies and TV shows, month after month, and. Kevin Feige was talking to Entertainment Weekly about kind of slowing things down a bit, and so I just wanted to hear everybody's take or opinion on it. Of how do you think that Kevin Feige is now hearing everybody's thoughts? He's kind of lived through this whole Phase 4 experience, and he's slowing down. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't think it would hurt to kind of just like take a step back and regroup. That's why they go on those like little Marvel vacations, retreats, and talk about this shit. Because you think of in between all of these movies, we've had all of these shows like Moon Knight, WandaVision. There's so many characters out there now. It's like, okay, so how are you going to bring that all together? How are you going to bring all of these threads together? As well as introducing a villain who has multiple versions of himself. And yeah, obviously, I think general feelings have been negative. You've got the visual effects artists fighting back. It's time, like we're in a kind of downslide from Endgame. So yeah, I mean, you'd like to think that they are aware of this kind of stuff, and I still feel like the whole visual effects thing has gone like gone on without any kind of like resolution, like and they haven't, or any acknowledgement really. I feel like from Marvel's end. You just hear like, visual effects artists are saying this and that, but nothing is being said about it. So, I don't know. Yeah. I don't think that answered the question at all, but there you go.
No, yeah. I mean, I think so too.
You
I
took
feel
us on
like
a
there's
journey,
time.
though, and that was nice.
I'm sorry, my brain. Brain don't work so good.
I think it's good to see that we're hopefully not pushing the VFX artists. So hopefully we're having enough time to develop these things. Right now, it feels a little bit hodgepodge together. I love the collaborative. I love how they. This is what I think. Marvel is great at saying, "Hey, you got an idea? Let's run with it. You got this thing? Let's run with it." But it's getting built as the rail. Like the rails are being placed as the train is continuing to go. And so hopefully this slows us down so that we can kind of build out the rail system, not be too stressed, and we can kind of see everything going into place without having to change everything all at once. Because I've heard stories of VFX artists who they've built this whole scene and then they say, okay, no, we're scrapping that completely and we're doing something else new because we just thought of this cool idea. I love improving and collaborating and changing ideas, but when it goes that late into the game, you kind of have to take enough pre-production time to set all that up so that you can really dedicate on post and make it really great. So I'm hoping that this whole slowdown process of that they're transitioning to of, listen, we're just going to release these two. We're going to take our time a little bit, reevaluate. I know Echo is supposed to come out. I know Agatha Harkness is supposed to come out. Maybe we delay that and continue overlooking it as we're putting it into production so that when we do commit to VFX, we won't, 8 months later be like, oh, let's change that. Everything will look really nice. And honestly, what we've seen with Avatar, Way of the Water, I was like, holy shit, we can do really cool things with VFX if we just take the time to do it. I mean, some of those like shots of them in the water grabbing stuff or just tying themselves to that. I was like, God damn, it looks really good. I would love to see that, I don't know, that discipline into like a Marvel movie as well. I know we've pushed everything. We really tried everything. This is a growing pains right now. Hopefully we're dealing with the teenage years of Marvel as it becomes a grown adult. It's like, okay, we made mistakes. Let's slow it down. Let's really hone in on this thing. And I have a little bit of hope, but I think we're currently in this growing pains phase.
Yes.
Francesca, what do you think about that? I always want to hear your thoughts on it.
I think it's good that they're slowing down, and it seems like they are picking like Secret Invasion and Loki season 2,
Loki,
right? Yeah,
I think so.
To focus on, especially we just saw like Kang, and Kang was He Who Remains was introduced in Loki, so now we're like, I think they're picking like the direct threads to continue on, and I mean Secret Invasion, that's been building up since Captain Marvel, and even like Far From Home. It's just like, it's like Fury and Maria, they're not here, we are, and you're just like, what the fuck is happening here? So now I'm glad it seems like they're just like, let's just focus on the most immediate story lines, especially Secret Invasions and the Marvels both coming out this year. It's like, okay, we're gonna focus on the Skrull stuff. So I'm glad they are focusing, and also just for the VFX artists, because there was just so much happening that they're just like, okay, let's take a beat, let's focus on making these look good. And then I think it'll just help build up that anticipation and excitement again that a lot of people miss, because we were just bombarded with a bunch of stuff, and they're just like, I miss missing Marvel stuff. And I think that's going to build that back up.
Totally. Can I ask a really quick, just like random question here towards the end? Francesca and Ed, you both liked Eternals, right? You guys, I feel like, Ed, I know you do. Francesca, I feel like you had that on your top 10 list. Maybe I don't remember that correctly.
I liked it, yeah.
Antman in Quantumania got the same Rotten Tomato score as...
I knew it was coming. I knew
Good question. It's a good question.
I am ready for this.
How do you guys feel?
I think people are now realizing that they were like, okay, let's shit on Phase 4. It's like, this isn't going. In the moment, they were just like, this is not going the way I wanted to. We're getting all these random heroes. Nothing is building to like the main saga bad stuff. And they're like, Phase 5 is going to be so much better. And then we get Phase 5, and everyone's disappointed again. And now it's going to be that whole, like, it's just happening a lot faster now that they're just like, oh, you know what? Maybe we were a little too hard on Eternals. And that's what...
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just now happening a lot faster, just like 2 years later, of just like, oh,
So true.
never mind.
And I mean,
So
we all know
Vindicated is
Rotten
how I'm feeling.
Tomatoes is bullshit. But yeah, Vindication. I just... And a lot of it was... Eternals was like a kind of gut reaction, I feel, for a lot of, at least Marvel fans.
Yeah.
And I still maintain that movie has a fuck ton to offer. I was really hoping that, like, before I made connected the dots, I thought that a Celestial had, banished him or something.
That's still cool, yeah.
Because I didn't really know where Kang really comes from, other than, I guess, another universe or multiverse or whatever. And, I still really don't actually know. I think it's bullshit. I think The Eternals is definitely a better movie than this one.
There it is.
So...
I agree.
Yeah.
There
I
we
have to align with
go.
this too. That's the Punch Truck Nerd
Yes.
review. I mean, Miguel, do you agree? Do you think that Eternals?
Oh,
is better?
100%. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. Whether or not I loved the Eternals, you know what I mean? Whatever. But was I more engaged in that movie? Probably.
Yeah. Now
But
I
you
want to
don't
go
really
watch
remember.
it. Let's go watch Eternals after this.
Let's do it tonight. Right
Uh,
now.
All right.
Francesca,
All right,
thank
bye.
you again for joining us for the Antman Wasp and Quantumania portion. Love to have
Always.
you. This will not be the last time, and
Never.
we'll see you again. All right, now it's time to talk about what we're into. Miguel, what have you been into?
I'm sorry. I'm so exhausted from that conversation. I had to sit back down.
You got up and then you sat back
I, had
down.
to sit back- I was hyped for Ant-Man and then it brought me back
See,
down to
that's
that
the arc
quantum
that I'm
level.
talking about. We have a little arc. No, tell us what you've been into.
Okay, so guys, can we just do it? Let's talk The Last of Us.
We always
all
got to.
right?
We always got to talk about the Last.
I
of
know
Us.
it's not the Last of Us podcast. I'm
Well, you've been
sorry.
gone for so long. We haven't had an opportunity to really talk about the repercussions of last episode and this episode.
I know. Wait, what? We talked about
Yeah.
the last episode.
Yeah.
You're talking about the one before that?
Oh, the one before that. That's what I
Yeah.
meant. Sorry.
We had a
Time.
whole episode on it, Luis.
If somebody could give me time back again, who could that be?
What do you say to that? Man.
Man. What do you say to that, Luis?
Luis.
So Last of Us episode 6. Talk
Yeah,
about
I'll just do a quick, we don't have to talk about it all night long. I am liking the show. Again, I feel like I feel like broken record. I do like the changes that they make, like the subtle to sometimes really big changes in character. I think are all really befitting of the show. You know what I mean? The story that they're telling the same story, but in the medium is different, and I think everything's working. I said last week I didn't want to be this person, but I spent the entire episode going, but in the game, they actually. So I wrote down some things. I will say, without trying to give I think a lot of the game players watch this episode going, oh, these people that haven't played part 2 are really in for a treat. They do a lot of setting the groundwork
for part 2.
Part 2 in such a great
I haven't
way.
seen it. I haven't played it.
That's not like in your face. You know what I mean? And I think there's some of the moments I point to, you'll be like, oh, I did kind of notice something. But these are absolutely like stepping stones leading us into part 2.
So I should play part 2 and then rewatch this episode is what you're telling me.
Yeah. And if I will kind of tell you a little bit, but I'm not going to spoil big moments or anything like that. Okay. Cause I want you to play the game. And also I want Ed to enjoy season 2 cause I know he's not going to play the game.
I mean,
Okay.
I just need a PlayStation. I'm so sorry.
PlayStation, hit us up. If you give us a PlayStation, Ed will tattoo a
Let's go
PlayStation.
viral. That viral Lego tweet that we did, man, I can't believe we got
You can't believe we got so
4 likes. Hey, you know
we'll
what?
look back at this and laugh.
Whatever. Okay, so I assume you guys watched the episode.
Yes.
Okay. First off, just thumbs up, thumbs down. You guys enjoying the show? Did you like the episode?
I
Thumbs
feel like
up.
Ed, you're not liking the show as much as we are. I'll tell you that.
A Tuesday watcher.
Not at 8 p.m. on a Sunday night.
Come on now.
I feel like you give the show a 7 right now. Is my vibe.
That's okay.
I have no strong feelings. I definitely enjoy it. I am.
What do you like
liking it.
more, Ant-Man 3 or The Last of Us season 1?
The Last of Us season 1, absolutely, 100%.
I'd flick you right in that dick of yours. Okay, I swear to God. If you,
What's it gonna be?
Ant-Man. A flick of a dick.
could you imagine if that's what he did in that moment? Instead of like force choking him, he was just like, give me that little Ant-Man dick.
Whoa.
That coming from Jonathon Majors, so you know.
Yeah. That pissed a lot of white boys off. Okay, you gotta. Sorry.
Anyway.
Sorry. Okay.
So I'm not going to come across negative about the show. I am enjoying it, and I am very much taken with the story and the stakes. I do get the feeling that maybe we need to see it through to the end before we start putting it on this fucking pedestal.
Okay, yeah. I hear you there, and I think that I learned of a phrase recently. So this is just me just regurgitating things I just learned. Called fuck, I'm fucking it up. Drink your fucking loud ass water while I think about this word, Ed. It's like recency bias, you know what I mean, or something like that. It's like where you're just like in the now, and everything in the now is great. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that tweet I sent you guys where it was jokingly saying like Ant-Man 5 is the best Phase 5 movie so far. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's the only one. So, Ed, to that point, I do see what you're saying. There is a lot of talk of this is the greatest adaptation. While I think they're doing a phenomenal job of adapting the video game to this medium, it has been very difficult and challenging to do that for many other video games.
Yes.
You're right. I think if we wait till the end, that'll give us really the clear picture from start to finish.
Yeah. I do feel like with each... What's that reaction, Louise?
No, I just can't wait to get to the.
No, me too. I'm anxious for the characters. I'm very much connected to Joel and Ellie.
That's good.
And yeah, I am enjoying like not having the game to compare it to, because that would also kind of give me anxiety, I guess. You know what I mean? I just like how much are they gonna, trail away from the game, or and there's always the question: is it too much like the game? Is it too little? If you're just like copying the game, are you just a Disney remake? I don't know.
I'm happy to. Louis, maybe you feel differently, but I feel like this is not the Disney remake version of this. They are doing a really phenomenal. I said phenomenal already. I'm sorry. They're doing a really phenomenal job, I think, of taking this video game story and not just, reskinning it for television.
Yeah.
Right.
I think they take moments where they can really explore other narratives where you can't, because you're stuck as Joel or you're stuck as someone else. And here they're like, oh no, let's explore this other character. Let's see this other side, which is cool. It's like a real. This is doing such a good job that it's making other games turning into movies getting a fast track. Do you know what I mean? Like the Borderlands, the potential God of War, all of these other things. It's saving what Uncharted ruined when games came out.
But Uncharted, I'm not like standing up for Uncharted. I actually never saw the movie. But Uncharted was just kind of like a product of that kind of mechanism. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like Uncharted set out to be really good and it was so awful everyone was like, oh my god, we can't do video game. It was like the 14th video game adaptation of video game adaptation. You know what I'm saying? It's not Uncharted's fault that those movies aren't good,
Maybe it was just The Last of Us kind of has that slightly more unique approach or I guess luxury of being a fully fledged show. where you have time to develop these characters instead of trying to cram multiple elements of one game and a long storyline into one feature-length film.
I will say there were a couple of moments, and especially as we're getting into this, we're starting like the third act of the story now,
Right?
And the one drawback I would point up to this point in the story was that, especially in this episode, there is kind of a lot that happens in this chapter of the game that I feel like we streamlined to get from point to point a little bit more. Although there were some really well acted moments that I think made up for that. So when I get nitpicky and go, oh, I do kind of think we could have stretched this bit out a little bit more, I'm rewarded with other moments that are just as good.
Yeah.
I would like to talk to straight out the gate, talk about something. Oh, this wasn't in the game. And I texted you guys this the night of, was the opening scene with these two characters, a man and a wife, that they kind of stumble upon on their way to Wyoming. These characters were not in the game whatsoever, but I almost missed that they weren't. You know what I mean? Like, they were so phenomenal. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm really not trying to. It's 2 beers. Such a fun scene right away. I love when like a character actor is really good at what they do. Yeah. That you don't have to spend a lot of time going, who, what, where, when, why. You just immediately buy into the world that they live in.
Yeah. And the relationship that the two of them had together.
Man, I
in
was
that
sitting there
place
going,
of the world.
For a moment, I thought, wow, these are new characters, and we're about to get a whole episode of just them, or they're going to be really heavily featured in this episode,
like a bottle episode or something.
And they did just a great job of being like, here they are, and they're gone, and just like every other character we meet in the game, in the show, we're moving on. This is not about them. So when they are here, they have to be, their presence has to be felt. And man, this was one of those where you almost at the end of the episode want to start it all over again just so you can watch that scene one more time. I don't know about you guys. That's how I felt.
No, definitely. She was great. And it was just, I remember this one line I remember is when Ellie's like, I'm not scared of what you just said. And she looks at Joel and he's like,
no, but he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he is or whatever. And just the way she carried herself was so grounded, but like you said, it established everything and the relationship,
and it colors the world around you without saying too much. You know what I mean? You know that he's scared, and he's supposed to be like the protector, right?
Right.
And she knows that he's scared, so it's like, well, this has to be a big thing. You know what I mean? What they're talking about is. I
had a question, Miguel. For episode 6, from episode 5 to episode 6, months have passed, right?
Yes.
Because now it's okay. Because it was a thing where, actually, surprisingly, I caught Sarah up to the end of episode 5, and now she's watching The Last of Us just for the last few episodes. Because I think she passed all the really emotional, parts of it, and I think this is going to be just kind of like, I don't know. It's good for her. So she's jumping on, and she's like, "Oh, did Joel always have those heart issues, or why is he in pain?" And then I found myself thinking, yeah, actually, this is kind of new,
So that, first off, the way they have interpreted this chapter in Joel's storyline is different than in the game. In the game, he's a little bit more. In the game, you have to remember you're playing as Joel, and as a video game character, as you playing the character, you want to be invincible. You want to be strong. You
keep collecting things so that your HP level goes higher.
Right,
you power up. You want to
be the superhero of this story. It doesn't matter how grounded or realistic the story is.
You got to power up.
You're still the superhero. And in the show, you can't do that. So they have to find these ways to kind of not humanize him, but I don't know, make him mortal.
It definitely makes you feel like, because as a player, it makes me feel uncomfortable again in a good way. We're like, oh shit, wait, what's happening? It makes me feel uneasy where I'm asking, wait, why is he hurt? What's going on? Where did we get here? What's going to happen? How is this going to affect the future? What do we do? And so these are like the nice surprises that come out that we get to, it changes it, but it still keeps the spirit.
I do see that a lot of people online are calling it kind of like he's getting this like anxiety, these like panic attacks. It's not just like a heart attack, that he's having, or you know what I mean, or heart issues or whatever. It's this like overwhelming sense of like kind of PTSD that was hidden, locked inside, being released because he's carrying this, not carrying, but you know what I mean. He's guiding this young girl through this new world. And it's reminding him, you know what I mean, of this whole life that didn't happen for him. He lost his daughter. He could lose this girl. I think in the game, he's very much at this point, just like, I've fulfilled as much of this as I can do, and I need to be done with this. And you do get a little sense of that in this episode. They have a great scene where they're around the fire at night together, and they're having the conversation of, well, what are you going to do when it's all over? And what are you going to do when it's all over? I loved that moment because in that moment, it was still Joel looking at Ellie as this thing, as this cargo, as he says in one episode. You know what I mean? We are going to go our separate ways. I thought it was odd that he was talking to her almost like an adult. You know what I mean? Like, well, what are you going to do? It's like, well, she's 14. You know what I mean? What does a 14-year-old do? They have to keep growing up. You know what I mean? They have to keep learning life. But they've already learned so much. They've already grown up so much over this year or whatever, traveling across the country.
Yeah.
And so to me, that was like kind of that vibe of the game coming out in that scene where he's like, I'm ready to be done with this. I'm ready to be past this and past you. And then the moment after we meet Tommy again, in the game, Ellie hears that Joel and Tommy are having this conversation of like, Tommy, you're going to take her from now on, and she runs off. She's like kind of hurt, and they have to go chase her. They kind of cut all that down to just that scene in the house later in the episode. I'm sorry, going on a tangent, trying to find my train of thought again. But the idea that he was giving her up in the game felt very kind of cold. And here you get this like humanized Joel a little bit more of just how hard it is to do this. I don't want to keep doing this. He's not that superhuman in the show. He's this like almost 60-year-old man who's traveled across the country. Can I give you guys, I had mentioned earlier some references to part 2. Can we go ahead and talk about those just real quick?
Yeah, let's do that.
And then I'll wrap this up. I swear to God, I could talk about this all day. Starting from the beginning, in the scene with the married couple, he points to the map and he tells him something. You better tell me the same answer that she told me.
Oh yeah.
This is a reference to, in the second game, you learn that Joel and Tommy, and they kind of reference this a little bit in some of the dialogue, because Tommy was like, we didn't just do things, we murdered people.
Yeah.
Joel and Tommy didn't just murder people to survive. Like, they did some pretty heinous things to people to survive. And one of them is torturing, 2 different people of the same group to figure out information. And that's one of it. I've learned this information from him, and you better tell me the same thing. This happens at the end of towards the end of the first game, when Ellie and Joel have to kind of reconnect in David's camp and everything like that. We also see this in part 2. Moving on. Part 1 foreshadowing, she asks him to teach me how to hunt for a rabbit. There's a whole level where we're hunting a rabbit in part 1. Joel, when they're having the conversation of what do you want to do after all this is done, Joel tells her, I don't know, I want to start like a farmhouse or have land or a ranch raising sheep. This is not in part 1. This is in part 2.
Oh shit. Okay.
Ellie, at one point in the story, does have a farmhouse. She does have a ranch. She does raise sheep with a character named Dina, who we have not met yet, except, let me go ahead and jump to it. We did very briefly see a character in this episode who is most likely the character of Dina in part 2. When they get to Jackson, they sit down at the table. They're eating their food really quickly.
Yeah.
And she like looks up and has some comment about some girl who's watching her from across the mess hall or whatever.
Yeah.
And she kind of scurries off. This is Dina. This is essentially the girl that Ellie falls in love with. They have a relationship.
Oh, interesting.
This is not set up in part 1 at all. And she's a really great character in part 2. She's one of those companions to Ellie in part 2 that you just really care about.
Okay.
Even the people that fucking hate part 2 because they're whatever, I think most people like Dina.
Like Dina. Okay.
We met Shimmer the horse. Shimmer the horse was this little tiny horse In this episode, when she goes to the barn, she pets the horse. They take Shimmer the horse to Seattle in part 2. Speaking of Seattle, at one point while they're in the Firefly, in Jackson, they point to a map. There's a Firefly location in Seattle. There's a Firefly location in Salt Lake City. These are big scenes. Seattle is the location of part 2. Salt Lake City is the location for the final chapter of part 1.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
So we are going to see these places again in the future. Boo, 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 boo.
I like this because it like for me, it didn't feel like, oh, we were Easter egging these things. It felt kind of natural that they were talking about the sheep and what are you going to do next? And it was like, yeah, I mean, you've been together for months. You're asking yourselves these questions, and so it never flagged to me that this was something from.
That's what I like. Is it's not you hit the nail on the head. It's not like super in your face. It's very organic. We're saying these things, and we're not even really winking at the player two, part 2 players. We're just saying like, hey, this happens, and if you know, you don't. Oh my gosh, I feel like it's just so boring. Me just telling all this now. I was so excited to write all this out.
I had no idea this was in there. Yeah.
The final thing that I thought was just the whole University of Colorado bit. That's a little bit longer in the chapter of the game. The injury was something I do want to talk about. At the end of this episode, Ed, you can jump back in now. At the end of this episode, Joel gets stabbed, right? He gets injured. Did you see that coming? Did you know that was going to happen?
No, I turned it off halfway through. No, I'm just kidding. No, I didn't. No, I didn't expect him to get stabbed right there. No. But
so that is almost how it happens in the game. There is this will he die moment. I won't say actually. I was reading some funny things about how you might get no, I don't want to say it. Okay, so Joel in the game, it's just one of those mechanisms where the NPC player comes out of nowhere and pushes you off like a 2-story building, and Joel falls onto this piece of rebar, and it goes through his body from the back to the front, and you have to pull him. Ellie has to pull him off of it and limp through the rest of the level just to get to the horse and ride on. And then the rest of the story is Joel gonna die here? Is Ellie on her own? Like, we're this close to getting to the Fireflies. Is she gonna have to do it by herself? Here they streamline it, and instead of a rebar, they get stabbed. I was kind of laughing at a lot of the comments I was reading about this was people just being like, yeah, you know what? It really would not be all that realistic. In the game, it already wasn't very realistic. You know what I mean? It would be a pretty tough sell for him to have something like through and through and then survive in this like
from a 2-story fall.
Yeah.
I mean,
and this like rusty rebar.
Yeah, that would it would rip so much out of you. Absolutely.
I did feel like it's one of those moments where, like, when people get stabbed and shit, you're just like, I don't know, my first aid training kicked in. I was like, don't pull it out. Don't pull it out.
What do you do?
And he does it and all that.
And then they just stare and watch the blood pour out, It's like, whoops.
It feels like in a spot where you don't want to be stabbed there.
No.
Because usually, like in movies, when people get shot in that area, you know that character's going to die.
Oh, and then they see that black on the Western Front, that character when he...
Any movie ever.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm bleeding. It's like,
they do that thing where
they
touch it and then they look at their hand. It's all blood.
Oh my god, you're hit. Obviously Joel is hit.
So here's my concern. I feel like at any adaptation or, you know what I mean, just anything you're watching where it's the big buildup is, are they gonna stick the landing? The run that we're in right now is the best part of the story. Everything that happens is pivotal. I'm looking forward to how they kind of adapt here and there. Obviously, like we've said so far, that's what they're doing in the show. I was surprised. I don't know how do you guys care about spoilers as far as like run times for episodes?
No, I'm interested. I'm curious to know about this episode.
If you don't want to hear, I don't have to say it, but I just want to point out that I did read that the finale, not the next week's, but the finale episode,
hour and a half,
is the shortest episode of the season.
No, that's got me worried. And
I was worried. Yes, I was worried when I heard that, because the if you're streamlining a lot of the story, okay, we got to get to these points, and you still got to make them believable, organic, and this and that, and it's all been really good so far. You still have to sell these beats. You can't just say this happens. Think about like the last season of Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? They were like beat, and you're like, well, I didn't really feel these moments. You know?
Yeah.
This last run of the story is so important. And I think it's going to decide whether people are in the story or not. You know what I mean? Am I going to keep watching? Yeah. And so with the fact that they, sorry, my bad. Normally I try, sorry. With the fact that they kind of shortened this chapter so much, and this is like kind of like the part 1 of the finale, you know, it's like, oh, okay, well, what are we going to do with the rest of this?
And they're also adding the DLC element to it.
So
like, this wasn't even part of the main run.
I wrote this down. The next episode is going to be the entire. This is my speculation. Is going to be the entire DLC with the sprinkling of Joel's hurt.
Yes.
And what am I going to do? And at the very end, probably start that part of the story.
So I mean, I feel like we're going to have to cut out a whole section. I don't want.
Here's what they'll cut.
Well, one quick question. Do you guys watch the little teaser for the next episode at the end of the episode?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it seems like it was going to be a flashback episode.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. The DLC happens. Sorry, Ed. In the game came out, and then shortly after they released the DLC, which was the backstory of Ellie getting infected. So you don't ever really learn about that during the main story.
Right.
So this whole episode is going to be that flashback, is my guess, of what happens. She already kind of alluded that she went into this mall and she wasn't alone and she got infected. So we're going to see what that is for the story. I also think that in the DLC, that's kind of the first time they really ever clarified that Ellie is lesbian. You know what I mean?
Right. There's that one moment when she's looking at a magazine of like naked dudes, and she laughs and she just throws it out the window. That you kind of like have this understanding.
Yeah. So that is where they kind of lay that groundwork. And I think, if I remember correctly, that is not in the actual game. It's in the DLC. And it was like, okay, we're making a definitive choice about this character, and something that you know what I mean? You might not have played, but they definitely dive into it in part 2. So that's my guess, is we're going to see a lot of the DLC in this next episode with sprinklings of what's going on with Joel, maybe introducing the kind of not final bad guy, but like the last
I thought I would be disappointed if we didn't, because there's the ending, but then there's like the penultimate stuff that happens, like I hope we reach that point before we get to the finale of everything, because that was such a fun time too. But I feel like they're going to cut that out and they're just going to go straight to the finale.
Yeah, I don't know. We're definitely going to get this David character. That you can for sure see him coming.
David.
That's right. It's traumatic, Ed.
All right, Last of Us. I can't believe it. Wait. That was episode 6. There's 9 episodes, right?
Yeah.
So then what they will do, the 7th episode will be the DLC. The 8 will be
the one I'm talking about.
And then the 9th will be the
Okay. Well, then
me and Luis played the game. So y'all, I'm so sorry to ramble on about this every time we talk about this. I'm just excited about it, and I'm glad Luis played the game. And Luis, you have to play the second one.
I will. It's on the list. Ed, what have you been into?
So last week I was telling you guys I just out of nowhere started watching Rome. And literally today I wrapped up the show. It's only 2 seasons because when it was airing, it got cut short after its first season. And what was
guy died, right?
Right, Julius Caesar died. Right. So I got through the second season. I can't remember if I had started the second season when we last talked about it.
No, you were just in season 1, I think.
Yeah, so they, I guess, like going into season 2, the whole series was supposed to be 5 seasons, and they crammed the main plot points, I guess, into season 2, and you can definitely feel it. Like after season 1, it definitely loses its rhythm. There are massive time jumps. There's like recasting of certain characters, and it's not like because they age, but other characters do not, and so it's a little jarring. And I could maybe see, if they had carried on, I could maybe see maybe 1 or 2 more seasons, unless they were literally planning on going to the end of the Roman Empire. But such as it is, they wrap it up nicely with kind of like the end of Cleopatra and Mark Antony, which you guys know about, right? That whole love story, I guess.
I didn't play the game.
Basically, but I'm not going to go into it. But I will say this: actor James Purefoy and Lindsay Marshall, who play Mark Antony and Cleopatra, they were really good. I really enjoyed their characters and how they played it. It was they were really kind of like digging into it, and I appreciated that. But overall, it was a show that was cut short, so who's to say how great it could have been? It definitely had really good moments. You could see where the budget went to as far as like the sets and the costumes. It's like, but it wasn't on that like, later Game of Thrones season episodes where you had big really battles. Good. Like any battles were kind of a little patchy, but
when did this show come out?
Good question.
I'm gonna say 2004.
It's like an early 2000s show, right?
Yeah, like early mid, I think, because it was around the same time, maybe a little bit after The Wire, I think, 2005. So literally mid. But it's got a good cast, but like because of the rushed feeling of season 2, like a lot of characters who you were enjoying suddenly were just making dumb decisions and shit like that, just kind of rounding out the characters.
Wow, so soon.
Yeah, just so it was. It was a shame, but I appreciated it. I'm kind of glad I went back and watched it because that kind of thing is up my alley. And and other than that, me and Sarah have just been getting back into New Girl.
Whoa! My turn, Ed.
Well, oh, sorry.
Ed's
but I really don't really have anything to say about New Girl other than
you're watching New
I'm
Girl.
Glad to be back in the
world of New Girl.
Yeah, exactly.
It's nice. Can
I ask, has there been a better or catchier theme song?
Oh.
Who's that girl?
Fuck you, Ed. Do not make me rank these goddamn...
I'm not going to make you rank it, but I was
But
just
you
thinking,
are, but you are.
I was just humming the song to myself.
We should rank TV theme songs.
Hey girl, what you doing?
We should rank TV themes. When I was a kid, I made a burned CD out of TV theme songs, and I was just waiting for a Six Flags ride.
Nerds that I talked to.
I would.
God damn it!
I made a CD, and then I had my headphones that did this.
Oh yeah,
like around the ear,
backwards behind the heads, and I would wait for the ride on Six Flags, listening to like Family Matters theme song. It's so rare condition.
Were you at Six Flags by yourself?
I don't remember. I must have gone with people.
Because Louise?
That's like one of those stories where you hear about parents leaving a kid at a circus or something.
When you go to a theme park, there's at least one other person in line with you.
Well, and it's crazy that I'm listening to an album.
Disrespectful that you would listen to music instead of chatting.
Maybe I was with such a big group, and then I felt like outed, and I was like, I'm just gonna listen to this Family Matters theme song followed by Step by Step.
This ain't hate.
No, New Girl's it's great. I love the cast. It's always fun. It's like, I love these are my friends. Yeah. I hopefully the way you think about us.
Ed, wait till you hear me. Wait till you hear about this next thing I'm going to talk about. In relation to New Girl. Okay, I got you.
But it's Luis's turn.
What was it? Endure? Anyway, I'm doing sign language from
Oh.
The Last of Us. What have I been into? Well, March is coming up, and I believe March is the month that
Madness.
season 4
Oh,
of Succession is supposed to come out.
Yes.
So I said, Sarah, it's time for us to start watching Succession.
Yes.
We binged season 1. We're on season 2.
yes!
We binged season 1 in a weekend. We're just like boom, 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 boom,
Hell
boom.
yeah.
And now we're in season 2. I had no idea this was such a comedy.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Like, and also sometimes these zooms they get at me too much. It's like, bro, you're giving me a gym moment for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I started laughing out loud, especially when that tall guy comes in. But at moments where
Greg.
people are
Greg.
when people are just reacting and they do like a sharp zoom and they're just like, I can't do it with my camera. But do you know what I mean? It just feels like, oh, this feels very office-y. It's like it's an office show without it being
But, like,
so heavily
But dramatized.
But
Yeah.
it's a dramatized office
With a
show.
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah.
It feels like
Um,
cinematography.
So we're in season 2, and
That's awesome.
I don't know, we're rolling in, and poor Kendall is a shell of himself,
Yeah.
and
I don't ever want to hear you say "poor Kindle" ever again. I'll stab you in the eye. Just keep watching.
I feel bad. He's just like
He's
in
a
poor
sad
circumstance.
puppy at the beginning of season 2.
Well, in season 1, he was ready to take on his daddy boy, and
Yeah.
I was ready for it. I was like, take him down, and then Macaulay Culkin didn't raise his arm, and it caused a whole fuss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pissed me off. I was so pissed. I was like, you raise your fucking arm, Macaulay Culkin. And he didn't support his dad.
I love the show.
You
And,
better be scratching your armpit, Rome. Or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yes. Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, Miguel.
And you give me shit because you always tell me XYZ things I should watch, and you go, he never watches them. But I mean, like, you told me to watch Succession, and I watched Succession. And
Eventually.
it's good.
Yeah.
Yes, eventually, Ed. We all know, as a
You need-
Hufflepuff, I move at my own pace.
Good call. No, well, I mean, yeah, I only ever do it for your best interest at heart, Miguel.
For your good, Miguel.
Yeah,
But it is really good. I watched this last year.
And similarly, it took a same amount of persuasion for me to get into it. Our good friend Brian Cecil
Me too. Yeah.
was the one who talked me into watching it. And I was like, my hesitation was like, I don't want to watch a show about a bunch of rich people just being dicks to
Oh
one
my
another.
god, you sound like my
Yeah.
wife.
But he was telling me,
that's why
he was
I
like,
didn't want to watch
it's
it. That's why I didn't
hilarious.
watch
It's
it.
funny. It's great. And I was
Because,
like, all
we've
right,
heard
I'll
this
give it.
story. I didn't need to hear it again. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so it's like, why do I need
But
to
then
spend
when
my
they
time?
get to those like intense moments, you were
Mhm.
like, "Whoa, okay." It's
Yeah.
not like I've been giggling this entire time, and it's like, no, I'm okay. I'm invested. What are you gonna do? What kind
But
of?
it's-
How are you gonna pull this off? You
Yeah.
know?
But it is like sharply witty. I love Tom of Matthew McFadden's character, and then his relationship that continues to grow with Greg, and not grow
man.
with Shiv. Shiv is a whole other thing.
Luis, I need you to get to the end of season 3 so we can. Are you gonna have it done in time by season 4?
I don't know when season 4 comes out, but that's the goal, is for us to be on top of the game.
Please,
Yeah.
because season 4, where we are at the start of season 4, I thought the trailer was really good. Especially talking about
March 26th. I think it's going to happen.
You can do it.
So,
It's only
we're
like
gonna
what,
stop-
9 episodes, 10 episodes a season?
And you're already
I think
through
so.
the first one. Like,
Yeah. And we're in like episode 3 or 4 of
Yeah.
season 2, so we'll
You got
make it
this.
in
You
time.
got
And
this.
so after The Last of Us, we're going to be talking about Succession. We're a Marvel, HBO, Peter Pan podcast, okay? Succession. I can't wait for season 4. Obviously, I'm going through season 2. Poor Kendall. I hope he gets out of his shell. And Macaulay Culkin, I could see him play as the Joker. And bada boom, bada bing. I'm out of
Well,
here.
It's
Who's
crazy.
next?
I don't want to spoil too much, Luis, but it's crazy how every season Kindle does a rap.
Spoiler alert.
What?
At the and that's happened already, right? And I think was it season 1 or 2 where he does the
He does
the
it
party
in
for his-
season 1.
It's in 2? Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
Well, I can't
spoilers.
wait to see it. Does
Uh,
his dad make him do it? Sorry, I came here. I gotta do a rap. Like, the poor man's so sad.
One of my favorite
Luis.
episodes in season 1 is Tom's bachelor party in that underground club. You know what I'm talking about? Where
He was so proud.
He swallows his jizz and tells everybody about it. And by the end of the day, he just wants to kill himself.
Yeah, he was so proud of the story at the very beginning, and then as he keeps telling it, he gets sadder and sadder and sadder. Check it out. Succession on HBO.
Succession.
Sponsor us. Miguel, home economics.
Okay, you guys, I'm going to talk about this one only because in my house, not a lot's been going on lately. I've been very busy, so it was basically been The Last of Us and this show. My wife has been talking about home economics on ABC. It's on its third season right now. I think it's been canceled. I have no idea. They haven't released a new episode in weeks. But it is the show with, it's like the family ensemble with Topher Grace. There's a few people. Sashir Zamata, the guy from Modern Family, is in it. It is on paper not a good show. You don't want to watch it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to watch it. My wife was watching it and she was really pushing it, and I was like, okay, like I love you, so I'll watch it. But I don't. But Ed, do you like Topher Grace?
I hate Topher Grace.
I hate Topher Grace. Luis, do you like Topher Grace?
I don't hate him. I could like him. Fine.
His face annoys me.
I watched enough of that 70s show to be okay.
Like
this, I'll say this though. My wife's actually turned me on to it. The first season is only 7 episodes long, and then they do that thing where in season 2 they get the full, you know what I mean, season run.
Oh yeah,
where it's 22, baby, better catch up. We're doing it. And so the whole premise of the show is siblings with their spouses, right? It's like 2 brothers and a sister, and then their families, their individual families, and how they're all at different income levels. One is very, very rich, one is middle class, one is very poor. And then all the dynamics of like, you know, being a part of the same family together. You know what I mean?
Okay.
One is super successful in business. One is a writer. He's writing a book about the family. One is an activist who just recently lost her job, so she's feeling like low about herself. And Topher Grace is, I will say this, perfectly cast as this character. Like they do, and he does a pretty good job of really poking fun at himself. The only thing I'll say is this, and I haven't mentioned this to Kristen yet, is I get the sense that Topher Grace on set of this show, when he's like having dialogue, which like say it was between me and you, Ed, you know what I mean? He's looking up just slightly, you know what I mean? Like just over the person. And part of it is like, okay, he's acting. So he's playing it for the camera or whatever. But it also feels like Topher Grace is like, I'm not going to look at you actually during this scene. I'm just going to say my lines and get out. Sometimes it feels like he's phoning it in, but his character is also this like kind of like meek, like, you know what I mean?
It works for the
character, you know?
Yeah.
And it is surprisingly wholesome. At the end of the first season, I was like, okay, I'm into it. And the only reason I bring it up as far as New Girl is we have talked about how it does feel like kind of a mix between like Modern Family and New Girl. It's one of those like, you can tell they understood the formula of the ensemble, you know?
Yeah.
It's a show that almost right away they all understand their character, you know, as opposed to like, oh, we have to figure out what their rhythm is.
Yeah.
And the premise of the whole show being home economics, their income level. So every episode is titled and then there's like a money value added to it. So it's like whatever the thing of the episode is, they'll put like a price at the end.
Yeah. Okay.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Home economics.
Speaking of 10 out of
acting, writing.
Speaking of 10 out of 10, you know, we've obviously have Instagram, Facebook, and everything else in between. But now we got a Letterboxd account, don't we?
Ed. Ed's gonna be our Letterboxd guy, I think. I did kind of get it. I got the ball rolling for us just because I was starting the account.
Yeah. I don't have.
I will say this,
and I don't know how it's going to work with all three of us. Do it like putting different reviews for
Mr. 5 stars, Puss in Boots, right over here.
I just want to say this. Maybe we can when we actually write the review, we can like put some zhuzh on it so we all know, oh, this is a Luis review or Ed or Miguel. Sure. I think also we can, if you really listen to us and learn who we are, I think you can kind of tell who's giving the 5 stars and who's giving like the more real.
Who even watched the movie in the first place.
Okay. I'm very easy to please. I'm like Puss in Boots, but legit, I had a great time at Puss in Boots, so I don't care. Okay,
No, I
you know what I
enjoyed
mean?
Puss in
We
Boots.
saw it twice. But I don't really understand how it works as far as the profile and everything. So like as soon as I opened it the next day, I saw a review for Antman, and I thought it was Ed. I thought it was us, this Punch Drunk Nerd reviewing it, and I thought it was Ed or Luis. And it said something to the effect. Shout out to whoever actually posted this. It said something to the effect of, "It took me 30 something films, but I finally agree with Scorsese on Antman." And I thought that was one of you guys at first, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like,
I wish I was
We're
that
getting-
witty.
we're getting
yeah,
into it.
But you know what? I understand it. You know,
You get it.
you get it.
You get
So
it.
shout out to our letterbox. We're gonna figure out how that works, but
Do you guys want to know how many movies I've rated in Letterboxd?
go ahead.
I mean, million. I don't know how many. Honestly, don't.
You have 10,000 emails. How many movies did you see?
So as far as like what I've been able to go through and catalog, 1,182 movies.
Honestly, I thought you were going to say 255 or something like that. I didn't you were going to
Hey,
hit the
go
1,000s.
fuck yourself. Absolutely go fuck yourself. Go outside and touch grass and then fuck yourself. 1,000 movies? Did you just say that?
Yeah.
How long did it take you to do that?
That's a good
You
question.
fuck. I'm not talking about how long it took you to see those movies. I'm talking about from the time you opened the app to the time the app said, well, that was 1,000 movies.
I mean, I've had it for a couple of years, but like when I first got it, I was definitely scrolling through, finding the movies I had seen.
Oh, so you retroactively were reacting to stuff.
Retroactively, yeah.
No,
I didn't.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about for Punch Drunk Nerd. Was it 1,000 or was that yours, Ed's?
Oh, that's
account?
mine. I have not.
Okay.
I have still through my profile, I've not been able to find ours. So we're gonna have to clean
Shout
that out. Yeah. I even looked under Miguel Sanchez just in case.
Just in case it was, I was a few beers deep when
yeah.
I started it.
But
That's how I got roped into that D&D campaign too, because someone was like, "Do you want to join a D&D campaign?" And I was like, "Fuck it."
Oh wait, I'm a wizard.
I said, "Can I be a wizard?" And that's all I knew.
Can I say that I watched this is what I'm into. After I watched the D&D Honor Among Thieves trailer before Ant-Man, man, every time I keep seeing stuff for this thing, I'm like, all right, I'll watch this. It's getting me excited.
I think we talked about this previously, so
It's-
forgive me if I'm rehashing
It's not a
things,
lot, but it's just like this will make my eyes have fun.
I think Chris Pine is one of those actors. I think we were talking about this last time, right? Like, he's fun. You just know he's involved, he's doing it, he's gonna have a good time, and I feel like I'm gonna have a good time.
Like that
clip
skeleton
cracked me up.
that skeleton scene clip, right?
Yeah, it felt very Monty Python-esque.
Yes.
Which Miguel just spat on the floor for anybody watching. Monty Python. But yeah, I thought it was just like fun, and if that's like the whole vibe of the whole film, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'll watch it for free, probably.
On Freevee, on Tubi, on Pluto. I think that's the show, everybody. Do we have anything else we're into?
What a long one. What a fun one, though.
What a fun one. What a long one. And next week, guys, I don't know. I mean, we know what's in the calendar. Yes, Cocaine Bear comes
You
out.
guys, the way I keep forgetting and reminding myself how close we are, I'm so happy that this has been kind of on back burner for a while. I'm definitely seeing this movie. I cannot wait. Electrified.
Okay. Cocaine Bear. Well, that's the plan. Plans change, but we're going to try to do Cocaine Bear next week. No guests, just us three. So we're going to have ourselves a...
Toot.
Yeah, dude. Good time. But until next time, listen, it's been me, Luis Gonzalez, and with me, of course, has been...
Miguel Sanchez.
And Deadpool.
And until next time, I see you.
I see you. Do it, Miguel.
It just makes me so angry that you guys are doing it wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess that's the bit now that we're doing it wrong, but it infuriates me.
I see you.
The more.
The more.